Okay, we're all set.
Okay, I think we're ready to go.
Mhm.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 6th, 2025 meeting of the Danbury Planning Commission. And we'll open this evening's meeting with the roll call. Ms. Hofstetter.
Here.
Mr. Selvane, I believe, is absent. Mr. Haas? Here. Chair Finaldi is absent, and Vice Chairman Chiocchio is here. We have no alternatives, but we do have a quorum. Commission members, you've received the draft minutes of the July 2nd and July 16th meetings. I know there were a couple of minor errors in those that needed to be changed. On the July 2nd one, I believe it was the adjournment motion. Helen is agreeing to that, although she wasn't at the meeting. So if there's any other questions or comments on that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah, the second meeting, there was also I explained that I was all caught up on the July 2nd meeting, so I was able to help approve a motion that night. So with all that said, I believe I'm in a good position to be able to make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Okay. Motion has been made. Is there a second? Mr. Haas, second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Kevin, you okay with that? Okay. And
You're on mute, Kevin, just so you know.
I believe everybody said aye, so there are no opposed. So the meetings of the July 2nd and July 16th meetings as amended are accepted. And for the record, the next regular meeting is scheduled for August 20th. And before we move any further, I will read the intro to the Zoom meeting. And this meeting of the Danbury Planning Commission is being held on Zoom as a virtual meeting. Even though this meeting is a virtual meeting, members of the public and interested parties continue to have the opportunity to participate in the meeting in a couple of different ways. You can participate via Zoom and see the audio and video, or you can call in by phone and participate via audio only. Please be aware that we may have to mute your microphone or telephone to avoid an echo or some other background noise. Instructions on how to participate in the meeting appear on the City of Danbury website, and all of the documents and materials that apply to the matters to be discussed during this meeting, including the agenda, are also available on the City of Danbury website. As always, if you have any questions regarding how to participate in the meeting, please contact the City of Danbury Planning and Zoning Department. As a reminder, the entire meeting will be posted on and can be seen on the City of Danbury website. We will follow the posted agenda as per standard practice. If prior to the meeting any questions or comments on the agenda items were submitted via email to the Planning and Zoning Department, those comments will be read during the appropriate portion of the meeting. Finally, please remember that technology glitches sometimes do occur. Please be patient if that happens.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, can you just wait a
Yes.
minute? Kevin, have you had any luck? Just shake your head. No? Kevin can't get his mute. He can't unmute.
Okay.
Allie, you got any input on that? Allie's our expert.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
You might be able to unmute him, Joe, on your end, since you're the admin for it.
Yeah,
If you
let me try that.
do the 3 buttons like how you would normally mute someone.
Yeah. Let's see if I have unmute. Unmute. No, that's still out. Unmute themselves. Okay. Participants. Let's see, Kevin, where are you? Unmute. I don't seem to have control over that. I'm trying, but you want to go ahead and.
So this is one of those patient
Oh,
items
well,
where
he
we
did
might
it.
have a glitch.
He did it. He did it. You're all
Cool.
set. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay, so we will proceed. I think next is we'll proceed to the right to public hearings. Item number 1, Tower Investment Group LLP application for special exception site plan approval for apartment houses and bank, the Legacy on Main, with trip generation greater than 500 vehicle trips per day, section 3E2 in the DTOD zone 30 and 34 Main Street, I-15254 and I-15335, special exception number 792. And I guess at this point, I need to read the legal notice. So just bear with me again, because you'll hear the same exact thing. Notice is hereby given that the Planning Commission of the City of Danbury will hold a public hearing commencing at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, August 6th, in a web-based meeting hosted on Zoom to consider the following matter. Tower Investment Group LLP, application for special exception site plan approval for apartment houses and bank, the Legacy on Main, with trip generation greater than 500 vehicles per day, section 3E2 in the DTOD zone 30 and 34 Main Street, I-15254 and I-15335, special exception number 792. A copy of this application is on file in the Planning and Zoning Office for public inspection. Parties in interest and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard at this time. The meeting agenda to be posted will include instructions on how to access the Zoom meeting and application materials or view the meeting in real time on YouTube. Arnold E. Finaldi Jr., Chairman, posted on the city website and town clerk's office on July 22nd, 2025, published in the News Times on July 25th, 2025 and August 1st, 2025. Purchase order number 2026-002. All right. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application? Attorney Beecher.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Good evening, everyone. For the record, my name's Tom Beecher from the Collins Hannafin Law Firm, and I represent Tower Investment Group. And with me tonight is Ben Dodo, who's the project engineer. Well, we had a little bit of a delay, but we're finally back in front of you, as you know, due to the fact that there were concerns over the ability of the city sewer system to handle this project and the uncertainty of what financial obligations any upgrades might require from my client. We withdrew the prior application. Since then, however, we've had many meetings with city officials, and most importantly, we had meetings that included Ben, Antonio, and Kelly Green, and we reached a resolution to the issue. This application for the Legacy on Main is a resubmission of the same project. Tonight, I'll do a brief recap of this project, and Ben will go through the plans with you. The minor changes to the plans address first the on-site sewage holding system. And second, we had to make some minor adjustments to the plans because this property used to be in the CBD zone and now it's in the new DTOD zone. As you recall, this project consists of the conversion of the existing office building at 30 Main into apartments, with the bank used to remain on the ground floor, and construction of an additional apartment building in the rear of the property. This new building will have a parking garage and 4 floors of apartments above the garage. When completed, there's going to be a total of 208 apartments, and that's broken down with 48 apartments in the existing building and 160 apartments in the new building. The total breakdown for both buildings will have 72 efficiency units, 120 one-bedroom units, and 16 two-bedroom units. Currently, we're waiting potentially for some further comments from the city traffic engineer, and we'll also be filing a modified landscaping plan from Abigail Adams, which will address some of the comments that we received from Kelly Green, and Ben can touch on those a little bit when he presents tonight. So we will need to continue this hearing to the 20th. I would point out that Ben will be away on vacation on the 20th, so hopefully he'll cover everything tonight and any questions you might have. With respect to the city comments we've received so far, The state DOT or OSTA will review this project because Main Street is a state road. Rob Barone of Construction Services indicated in his report that he will defer to whatever we may need to do pursuant to any instructions from OSTA review of this project. Rob Barone had previously been satisfied with Ben's plans, as you recall. The fire marshal's office is fine with this site plan. The building official approved these plans, and Ben can address Kelly's comments concerning this project. And so this is a good time for me to just turn it over to Ben. Ben?
Yes, good evening, everyone. For the record, Benjamin Dodo, licensed professional engineer. As Tom mentioned, this plan, we were here in front of you 2 years ago, and it's essentially the same site plan, tweaked a little bit to reflect the new regulation changes. The amount of units has stayed the same. The building architecture has stayed the same. The amount of parking, both garage and surface parking, has remained the same. As Tom had mentioned, we have a parking garage. The bulk of the on-site parking will be in that garage. 250 spaces in the garage and 53 surface. The proposal is to demolish the existing building at 34, keep the main building at 30, renovate it, and put a new structure in the back. That's going to be a larger building. That's going to be the new apartment building with the apartments above the parking garage. We have both buildings will be sprinklered. Both buildings are served by city water, city sewer. We received some comments from engineering. None of the comments from engineering impact the site plan in any manner. Kelly's comments mainly had to do with water and sewer. The sewer was the issue last time. After the application was withdrawn, the city did a study, and it was determined that we needed to maintain our allocation during the day. So basically what we're doing is the front building, the existing building, the proposed use with the apartments there, it is an increase in flow, but we're within our allocation for the site. So that site is going to continue to be served by the existing service connection, and it's going to flow to the sewer main that heads south from the site. We actually ended up, fortunately on this site, we have a choice between two sewer mains. We sit at a high point in the road. I'm going to share my screen briefly, if that's okay. And let's see here. Can everybody see this screen?
Yes.
Okay. This is the existing survey that we have. As I mentioned, there's two sewer mains. There's a manhole. We sit at a high point in the road. There's a manhole here that heads south down towards South Street and Triangle Street before going to the sewage treatment plant. And there's another sewer line here that heads north, and it goes all the way down Main Street toward the Still River. One of the things that engineering has asked us to do is send all our sewage south. Avoid sending it to downtown. So we have done that. During the previous application, we had the front building heading south, and we had the rear building heading north. So that's changed. We're sending everything south this time. And the way we've come to the resolution with the capacity issues that the city has in the system and maintaining our allocation is we've designed a system, and it's two large underground wet wells or holding tanks. So during the day, sewage will flow in and it will not access the city sewer. There's going to be enough storage for the entire buildings, the rear building, to the point where at 11 o'clock at night, this is a cross section of it. This is a pretty extensive storage capacity. We have about 14,000 gallons of storage here. Sewage is going to come into these tanks. It's going to sit there. And then at 11 o'clock at night, the pump will come on. When I say pumps, we have two pumps, but only one will be in operation. The other is a backup pump. Pump will come on and operate between the hours of 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. So if you can imagine in your house or wherever you live, how much water and sewer you use between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. It's usually virtually nothing. That's when the city system is not taxed, and it allows us to fully serve the rear building and not add anything during the peak hours. And when I say peak hours are usually morning between about 7 and 9, 10 o'clock, and then again another peak when people get home for dinner. We're not even close to that. We're just holding it all day for 18 hours and pumping at night. This was worked out. This plan was worked, as Tom had said, was worked out with the engineering department, and they are satisfied with this. The only thing that we'll need to do is when we submit for building permits, we'll have to get into a little more details with respect to the specifications and the operation of these items. So that's basically how we address the sewer. There were a few other impacts to the site that were strictly from related to the zoning change regulations. And I'm not going to go over the details here on the zoning table. Well, there's one more thing. Sorry about that. We do have a water main extension that we're bringing onto the site. As I mentioned, the front building's already served by water and sprinkler. We're bringing that onto the site. The fire marshal had asked us during a pre-app 2 years ago to put a fire hydrant on the site. That's going to be in this same shared island. Kelly had asked that the landscape plan be revised to make sure that we don't have any plantings on top of the easement and that area. And the landscape plan has been revised and to accommodate this. The other thing with respect to the water is we've requested some hydrant flow tests. So standard conditions, if this project is so approved, that this will be a city main coming into the site. So that's one of Kelly's comments, that the city council approval will need to be made for that water extension, and that the landscape plan be prepared, which Abigail has done. It hasn't been submitted yet, but it will be coming in the next day or so, showing that we do not have any plantings on top of utilities, especially the city mains. And also it was asked that we include I have a draft version of the landscape plan right here. You could see we removed all the plantings from this island here where the pump chambers are. And those pump chambers, you're not going to see them from the ground. You're just going to see a manhole lid and a hatch. Those will be below grade. So this island will predominantly be lawn, but Abigail Adams is our landscape architect, and she has added the easements and the underground utilities as well to show that there are no conflicts there. One of Ally's comments was for her to add the site distances, basically showing that all the plantings are behind the sight lines at the driveways. And that's something that Abigail has done. The one thing that we need to do is dimension this northerly site distance. It's well over 500, it's over 500 feet. But again, you can see the site distance is behind the planting plan. Excuse me, the plantings. Then going into the site plan changes, as I had mentioned. As I had mentioned, the zoning table changed with the required items. So our required versus proposed are a little different, but the building has not changed its location. Really, the zone changed on us. So a couple of items that changed, I just want to touch on this. The DTOD zone now requires that we have that 20% of the pavement surfaces be pervious surfaces. So we have done that. You can see these gray hatched areas here, right over here, this whole parking area over here, and another area here. We're at about 23%. So we do meet that requirement. And even before doing this, we were having a slight reduction in impervious area on the site. So this is just going to further that and make our drainage system work that much better than was previously designed. The drainage system has remained virtually unchanged. A few modifications due to the sewer line crossings were made. The other item is the new regulations require a decorative wall, a low decorative wall to screen the parking. So we do have that wall. Whoops, sorry about that. We do have that wall right here in an L shape and straight here. That's part of the zoning requirements. Let's see, street wall, as I had mentioned, the sewage, we're pumping the rear one. We are maintaining all our pedestrian access to the site. And this is something that I think is very important and really fits in with the downtown zone. The sidewalks on Main Street that we're replacing are linked to the on-site system and also links both buildings together. The other change was the we had a slight surplus of parking by only a space or two before. We have a significant surplus of parking now because, as you're aware, the Danbury, the DTOD has some very they have some very flexible regulations with respect to how much parking you need downtown. So we haven't changed the parking. The only thing that changes, our surplus is bigger. The other thing that we do have, and Ally noted in her letter, that we have EV charging stations. We had this last time, but I guess according to the regs, we have quite a bit more than we need. So we're going to keep it on the plan. If the owner decides to change and provide less, we will. But we have 2 outside, and we have 30 inside the building in the parking garage. Ally had asked, and we'll add this detail to the plan, what it's going to look like. We don't have a specific brand yet, but it's most likely, I was talking to our architect, they've been using these on some sites, and they look like any charging station. Basically, they look like the vacuum cleaners when you go to a self-serve car wash with smaller hoses. But this is basically what they look like. And each one of these, just to get a sense, they're about 6 or 7 feet tall, 2 feet wide, and maybe 1.5 feet deep. They're pretty narrow. And so one of these constitutes 2 EV charging spaces because you put them between the spaces at the end of the spaces, and that's what the cables are for. So, and we do anticipate using the same ones inside the garage and outside the garage. If for some reason that changes and we use a different one, we'll let the city know as well with respect to that. As far as the rest of Ally's comments, let's see. Some of hers have to do with adding some street addresses and tax assessor numbers to the plans. I'll do that. Again, I'll add this detail to the site plan and also the detail sheets. The site distances are being added to the landscape plan, like I just mentioned. Architectural. And I'm gonna just touch on these. Let's see. So these do need to still be labeled, but I just want to show you, this is what our architect Claris had prepared, and just to give a sense of the building. And one of Ally's comments that I just realized that she wanted the directional orientation to be shown, but I just want to show these on behalf of our architect, just to get a sense. This is looking from the east, and just Main Street doesn't point north. Main Street sort of points to the northwest here. So this is looking from Main Street along the, from the east direction. The next one below is, you're at the Enclave, which is the townhome project just to our south, sort of looking from their site at the rear building. You've seen these pictures before, but I just want to highlight it again. Both of these are looking from the northeast along Main Street, as to what you have there. And one of the biggest features that we have with the site is the improved driveway access. For those of you that are familiar with the site, this is what we have now. And it's really an awkward site where you come in the driveway and you have to make a right and a left turn, partially drive under the building to get around. So by us being able to remove and tear down number 34, we're able to move the driveway over here. That's going to be a 30-foot wide drive aisle, which is more than the city minimum. Makes it very comfortable. Our drive aisle behind the building is 37 feet. So all the circulation here really works a lot, is a significant improvement over what we have. These are just another couple views. This is from the north, basically north on Main Street, looking toward the site, both from the road and on the midpoint. This is entering the site near the site entrance, looking at the rear building with the existing building to your left. And then this bottom one looking from the northwest at the side of the rear building. And then this building here is looking into the horseshoe of the big building in the back from the southwest. And the last image is looking from the south, from the back of the Enclave towards the rear building. I think I've touched on everything. We'll get those landscape plans labeled to get the directional signs shown on there better. The landscape plan, as I mentioned, I showed it to you, but we need to dimension the site distance. But as I said, all the views are behind the lines of sight. And as Tom said, none of these comments impact anything physical with respect to the building locations, the building sizes, or the on-site utilities. I think we had almost reached that point last time before we had to go in and relook at the sewer. I'll be happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Ben, can you show us where the sewage holding system, where those tanks are going to be?
Sure. Let me do that again. So that was you, right, Bob?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So when you come into the site, you've got the main driveway aisle, and then we have this large island, and this large island has always been there. So we're going to put both of those tanks in the lawn area there. And I'm going to switch to my grading and utility plan. If you could see these two circles.
Yep.
One right here and the other right here. The main tank that has the pumps in it will have a manhole lid for access, and it'll also have a hatch in order to service the pumps. The other tank will just simply be an overflow tank that's just pure storage. But you won't see those tanks from the ground. You'll just see the manhole lid, and there'll be grass on top of it. And they will be just on the Main Street side of the proposed fire hydrant, but they will be contained to that island. And in profile, this is a feature this is a cross section through the tanks. But just to get a sense, we have sewage flowing into the large tank. Large tank fills up, overflows into the smaller tank. But this actually has a very nice feature, and we were able to do it on this site. We have a gravity line leaving the site so for some reason, if both pumps stop working, the generator doesn't work, sewage will have the ability to flow off and go. And this was one of the things that we were able to work out with engineering. And who knows, someday, if the city ever has extra capacity downtown and we don't need these pumps, we can simply bridge the gap with those pipes, fill the tanks with sand, and remove the pumps and not need them. So it's set up that the tanks are there until the sewage capacity issues all downtown don't exist. So it was really set up that this can be gravity fed someday.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. And here, Bob, this will show you too. You can see this tank. The only thing you're
Yep.
going to see from the ground is a manhole cover,
Yep.
and this is a hatch for access to the pumps if you have to service them.
Yep, got it, thank you.
Yep.
Commission members, any questions? Let me see here. Kevin, you're all right?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Ellen, you're good? Okay. All right. No questions. So I think we're good to move along here. I'll just see if anybody else wants to speak in favor of this application.
I'm not quite finished yet, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Tom, if I forgot something, let me know.
Yeah, will do. Thanks, Ben. We believe and hope you as a commission do too, that the Legacy on Main will be a beneficial addition to the redevelopment of downtown Danbury. These apartments in these buildings will be rental units. This project is consistent with the Plan of Conservation and Development, which actually focuses on the redevelopment of downtown Danbury and further focuses on offering new apartment opportunities. It's also consistent with certain goals set forth in the Danbury Affordable Housing Plan, and the POCD actually incorporates that housing plan into the POCD. And while these properties are not specifically within the very four corners of the downtown TOD study area that was done, it is now in the DTOD zone, and this particular project's consistent with the goals set forth in the DTOD study. So there's a consistent theme amongst all three of those planning documents, the POCD, the TOD study, and the Affordable Housing Plan. And that's that there's a clear need to expand housing supply and housing choice in Danbury, and particularly apartments, and particularly in downtown Danbury. The Plan of Conservation and Development also states that the downtown TOD study recommends supporting redevelopment and infill development with a focus on introducing new housing to the downtown and increasing the downtown's population. This particular project fits this goal perfectly. It is redevelopment within an existing office building and infill development on the same site by adding an additional apartment building and garage. The phrase infill development means construction on unused or underutilized properties within an urban area, consistent with existing or proposed development schemes or patterns. So again, this is consistent with the themes of all three planning documents. The conclusion of the POCD regarding housing includes the broad goal of continued and expanded efforts, quote unquote, by the city and private developers to ensure that Danbury's growth of housing opportunities meets the future needs of the city. The TOD study states that, quote, the market potential for downtown housing is strong, with an estimated demand for 1,200 units over the next decade. This growing market interest in living downtown is expected to provide its most significant economic development opportunity, close quote. That's from the study. The report predicts that the increase in residential development downtown will clearly be an economic benefit for the downtown area, as downtown retailers, restaurants, and businesses will have a new audience to visit their locations and for them to cater to. And Dr. Poland, if you recall in his report that we submitted, summarized this thought in his report by stating, quote, "Retail follows rooftops." And walkability is an overall theme in these studies as well. And in terms of walkability, and this site is also ideal for that, for walkability for the residents of these apartments. It's a short walk to Rogers Park, a grocery store, a convenience store, and other shops and restaurants. Now, the Affordable Housing Plan obviously has a focus on the creation of additional housing units that fit the statutory affordable housing definition. However, there are broader goals that are set forth within that housing plan. As I stated before, one of the goals of the Affordable Housing Plan is to increase the supply of housing downtown. The plan also indicates that there's a clear need for more residential rental housing. The housing plan notes that only 4% of the city's housing stock consists of studio or efficiency apartments. This project includes 108 efficiency apartments. The report projects that if there were more nice or new market rate rental units, the supply and demand side of these new apartments coming online is that they will drive down the monthly rental rates of certain existing rental units, and that would result in additional more affordable units for others. Another goal of the city housing plan is to expand the diversity of housing options in the city, which would obviously include encouraging and expanding having rental units and expanding the number of efficiencies and one-bedroom units available, particularly in the downtown. According to that housing plan, Danbury needs an additional 1,936 apartments in order to meet current and projected rental apartment needs in the city for people at 100% of area median income. And as of the date of that housing plan, area median income for Danbury was $104,400. I'm sure it's higher now, but there's a significant need for housing for people with this type of income, or to add new apartments that might make existing apartments more affordable by driving down the pricing, as I said before. With the clear majority of these apartments being efficiency and one-bedroom apartments, this project will not have any kind of real impact on the Danbury school system. And that's set forth in the Dr. Poland report that you have. And in addition to the various reasons that I've said as to why additional housing units such as this project are good for Danbury, and particularly the downtown, there's the competing economic problem of the downturn in the need for office space. Large office buildings are struggling and have high vacancy rates. This is a fact which you all heard me talk about during the application for 100 Mill Plain Road. Brick and mortar office space has taken a hit over the last several years since the pandemic, similar to retail as well. So we think that this project is beneficial for the downtown and hope you'll approve it. But we know we need to continue this to the 20th. So with that, unless Ben, you have anything else, that's all we have for tonight.
Thank you, Attorney Beecher.
I'm all set.
Okay. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application? Don't see anybody. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this? Looks like Councilman Perkins.
Good evening, Mr. Vice Chair, Commissioners. Dwayne Perkins, 22 Main Street, and I am a member of the Danbury City Council. I'm not necessarily here to speak against the project, but I just want to make some statements to have them on record. Mr. Vice Chair, I thought the bulk of this meeting was going to be focused on traffic flow, trip generation.
Yes. I can address that, Mr. Vice Chair, if you'd like me to.
Sure.
We're waiting for some further comments, Councilman Perkins, from the city's traffic engineer. And so at the next meeting, we'll address what we've received and what we may receive. And we'll have our traffic engineer present to address it as well.
Okay, so I'll reserve the right to kind of table all of those specific questions that I had for traffic flow. And would it be okay for me to address you all on some things that I have questions about?
Sure.
So Mr. Vice Chair, let me just kind of rattle these down, and whomever Attorney Beecher or Engineer Dodo can take a shot at them. A while back, I mean, I'm going back a couple of years now, I had a conversation after a meeting with Mr. Dodo, and I asked him about water and oil collection in the parking lot. I believe he mentioned that it would be a condition of the builder to maintain. I just want to have a little bit of assurance that if this project changes hands, will that commitment go to the new owners, or how would we be protected? That would be one of the questions. Had a traffic question, but I'll hold off on that.
Maybe if you want to ask the traffic question so we know in advance, and maybe for next meeting, we could have that addressed.
Okay. Well, I mean, we go through this exercise of projects like this on a regular basis, and a lot of times we hear the same type of analysis whereby we have an increase in a population for a particular development. We have an increase in the number of vehicles for that particular type of assignment. And the analysis, the data, according to some of the traffic engineers, has the actual traffic flow reduced. I mean, you know, I mentioned it before, and I'm kind of paraphrasing my own self. That really defies logic when you have all of those factors present. So I'd like to have them drill a little deeper on, you know, their analysis of how they can actually reduce trips with all of those different types of increases. My second question was whether or not, and this is something that you all, I'm sure, are going to address, whether or not state DOT has been contacted to consider striping the road from Elmwood Park to South Main Street, well, Main Street and South Street, just to help with traffic flow, because during the time of day, people use that really wide side of the road heading south as a 2-lane travel route. So I guess I would like to know whether there will be plans on actually striping 2 lanes. That's one part. And the other part of that striping concern would be, how will we handle left-hand turns? Just turn at will when it's free, or will there be some kind of lane that would be designated for outflow traffic from the complex?
So the left-hand turn out of the complex onto Main?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking? Okay.
Also, I've had questions already to try and come up with a time frame about, once this project begins, about how long will it take for the project to be completed, because we're always concerned about 7 a.m. noise and everything else like that. Will there be a new fence around the perimeter of the property that would be tied in with either the landscape design component or just the builders deciding to take down a chain link fence and erecting a whole new fence altogether? I talked to Chief Thode, Fire Department, not too long ago, and we all have concerns about electric vehicles. We all have concerns about fires. So as far as these EV charging stations, will there be some type of fire suppressant system above or near these stations? And are the vehicles required to point in a particular direction in order to use those stations? We mentioned also, and we always mention this with new types of housing developments, their impact on public services, police, fire, and also potential increases in headcounts at schools. We have an elementary school right around the corner, capacity issues. We have a junior high school down in the Rogers Park, capacity issues. We always come up with a formula to try to determine the amount of students that may end up at these types of developments. So going forward, I'd like to understand better how that calculation is determined and a potential impact on the public school systems. Mr. Vice Chair, I think I had one more question. Attorney Beecher mentioned about 830G and how this would make a contribution to our housing inventory. Last time I mentioned something like this, I think I was supposed to do some homework, but a concept, a word called statutory affordable was mentioned in the same sentence with the deed restricted 40-year requirements under 830G. So I'm wondering what that really means. And if he could explain that, I would be happy. And one of my last things, Mr. Vice Chair, I have, and I'm looking here at a spreadsheet, 72 efficiencies. I just heard that there will be 108 efficiencies, and he's right. We have heard a lot of conversation about a high demand for efficiencies and one bedrooms. But what I don't have is the 1 bedroom and the 2 bedroom number, because right now I had 72 efficiency, 120 1 bedroom, and 16 2. So if I can get an update on those new numbers.
Yeah, I believe those are still the same numbers. But
What I just
we'll
said?
confirm. Yes,
Okay,
we'll confirm that though.
thank you. And I think that's it, Mr. Vice Chair. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you.
But like I said, these types of downtown projects, 'cause this is like my ward and stuff. So these are good for the city. We just want to have assurances that traffic flow and noise and different things like that are addressed. Public demands on services are all addressed, and I appreciate the opportunity. And I hand it back over to you all to do your business.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Perkins. So let's see, I wrote these down and maybe we can make this easy for next time. I think there were a couple items about traffic. Maybe if the traffic engineer next time can kind of go through the reduction, explain the reduction in trips again, or on the peak hours and full time, just kind of go through the traffic, at least summarize the traffic again, study for that. As far as the striping, I'll let you guys handle that. I don't know if the traffic engineer or your traffic guy will do that, or you can do that, or Ben, as well as kind of the left-hand turn out of the complex. So I think that those three are the traffic. The water and oil collection on site probably is a Ben thing. How long to complete the project, the fence around the perimeter. I think and fire protection maybe is a Ben item, maybe, if he can. Otherwise, figure out who to answer that. The public services impact in the schools. I think there was that study that was originally done that I believe kind of came up with a calculation, and it was pretty minimal as far as school, based on you know, the 72 efficiencies in one 121 bedrooms and only 16 or 2 bedrooms. I think it might even have been less than one or something like that, or it was very minimal, but maybe you can kind of just recap that again at the next meeting pretty quickly, as well as the affordable housing, a little more explanation on that for Mr. Perkins. So I think I summarized that well. I don't know, Attorney Beach, if you want to go ahead and you and Ben kind of tag team on that.
Well, I mean, there's certainly, Mr. Vice Chairman, we can tackle a few tonight. So the question was, and if I misspoke, I apologize, but the breakdown of the total units for both buildings will be 72 efficiencies, 120 one-bedrooms, and just 16 two-bedrooms.
Yep.
That's one. In terms of explaining 8-30G, the simplest way to start this conversation is that there will not be any 8-30G affordable housing units in this particular project. The Nolan family does manage over 100, own and manage over 100 units of statutory affordable 8-30G units in the city, but this project will not be one of those. The point I was making when I did reference it is because the affordable housing plan, obviously, as part of that plan, was talking about the need for 8-30G housing, but that plan goes on to talk about the need for just simply housing that's more affordable for people, and including the lack of units for people at 100% of the area median income. So that's the point. It's a distinction, Councilman Perkins, that this project is going to help with the affordability aspect of things, but it will not include statutory deed restricted affordable housing units. I'm happy to talk to our traffic engineer about and have him report to you about appropriate left-hand turns and the safety of that coming out of our site driveway. I'm not sure that this project or the owners of it really have any responsibility to study or work with DOT on striping to create additional lanes all the way from Elmwood down to South Street. So on that one, I'm not sure we're really going to be any help. It's certainly something to take up with the city, and the city can certainly approach the state DOT about that topic, but I don't think that's one for us. Ben, was there anything you wanted to tackle tonight, or do we want to just?
No, I could talk. I could talk about a couple of those tonight. First, I'll start with the dedicated left turn and right turn lane out. That's something that the DOT does not like on unsignaled driveways. So, and it has to do with the car taking the left blocks the line of sight for the car taking a right-hand turn. If it's a signalized intersection, it's a different story. The other thing that we have here to answer Councilman Perkins' question is we're taking the existing egress lane on the bank drive-through side, which also includes a bypass lane, and we're converting that to a right turn exit only. So for those residents on site or even visitors to the bank, if they want to get out and take a right and don't want to get caught behind someone possibly taking a left turn, they can just go out on the southerly entrance and take that right turn unfettered. Because we are keeping that. I'm going to just share it briefly again, because I did not mention this. This is the new main driveway here. And as I mentioned, it's a 30-foot wide driveway, but we have one egress lane. The bank 2 drive-through lanes and the bank bypass lane is going to stay, but it's going to be converted to a right turn egress only. So we're hoping a lot of the traffic on site, including people that are parked in the parking garage, if they're heading south, there's a good chance they're just going to come this way and take a right turn out on the site, but they'll still be able to do the same on the with the main driveway. As far as the DOT is concerned, and Tom had mentioned this at the beginning of the meeting, that we have to go to ASTA, formerly the State Traffic Commission, as part of that. So if this project is approved by the city, the next step will be going in front of them due to the size. We meet the minimum thresholds for building size and parking on this. So we will be in front of them. And, you know, some of the questions that you raised may come up. I know that I'm pretty sure this road is not wide enough for 4 lanes. It is, as you mentioned, there are white stripes on the shoulder of the road to easily accommodate, you know, people taking a left turn and being able to get around it. But again, as Tom said, we don't plan on turning this into 4 lanes, but, you know, we do anticipate, you know, going through a review process with ASTA. I'll let Joe touch on the peak traffic numbers at the next meeting, because this came up last time. There is a difference between total vehicle trips, which can go up or down, and conversely, peak hourly trips. And Joe can go into details about that. But just to give a sense, when you have a site that's an office building, a traditional office building like this site is or was, you tend to have you know, real intense peak hour in the morning, and then at you know, in morning rush hour, and then evening rush hour. When you transition to a residential development like this, those peaks get spread out a little bit. And I'll let Joe talk about that in detail, because everyone who lives in an apartment has different habits, different work schedules. So it's a little different than an office building. The time frame, I'll talk with our architect to try to get a sense of that, what they anticipate something like that will take. And then as far as the oil water separator, the existing site has, let's see here, it has approximately 200 surface parking spaces. All of that drainage goes into the drainage system, and it's untreated. The new site, we're going to reduce our surface parking from approximately 200 to 53. That's going to include, as I had mentioned, a little over 20% of the parking being pervious parking. We don't meet the thresholds for needing a water quality unit outside because we're actually reducing our pavement. But the 250 parking spaces that are in the parking garage, all of any liquids from there, when I say liquids, I'm talking snow melt, rain melt, when they're washing the garage floor, or any potential leaks, that actually will go to an oil water separator. I'll show you on the plan here. We have an oil water separator right here, and it's underground, it's a tank, and that overflows into the sanitary sewer. So, and like any parking garage, modern parking garage, that's a requirement that they be put in and not tied to the storm sewer. So the impacts to the only drainage off the back roof that will go into the storm sewer system would be, you know, the roof drainage, which is generally considered clean. We have an extensive detention system. So, you know, the end result is going to be positive from a water quality standpoint. And then as far as the EV charging stations in the garage, I'll talk to the architect about your concerns about, you know, fires, but just the parking garage is going to be reinforced concrete, 3 levels, you know, walls, floor, etc. And, you know, the risk here compared to any other garage is, you know, no different. The only difference is the building above it will be sprinklered. I don't know about the garage yet, Councilman Perkins. I'll talk to our architect about that question. And, you know, it's a double-edged sword here. The city zoning requirements require that we have a minimum amount of EV charging stations for this site. We looked at them. We felt the garage would be the best place for them because we didn't want them, all the outdoor ones that could be a lot of bank customers coming and going or visitors to to block the EV charging station. So we positioned them in the garage in a spot where people could park, you know, for overnight or for an afternoon and charge their cars. So will we be reducing the amount? I don't know. We're proposing 30 or 32 right now. I think we only require 15 or 16. And again, that's under the new regulations. We have about 10% though. But I could talk to our architect about your fire concerns on that.
And just to add to that, Ben, I don't, there wasn't anything in the building department report or the fire marshal's report concerning the EV stations.
No,
Nor do I believe I've seen such a concern raised where EV stations are proposed in other applications from either of those departments. So I just add
yes,
that.
yeah, that's a good point. The fire marshal, Councilman Perkins, did ask us, and this was at the 2 years ago, that we put the hydrant on the site, which we've done here. And more recently, they've asked us that, and this was actually part of the record, they asked us to show being able to get their big ladder truck, being able to drive in, back in, being able to turn around and leave the site. He asked of this before before he issued his letter about being comfortable accessing the site with the emergency vehicle. The other thing too is, and I've said this lane is 30 feet wide here. The city minimum is 24, and this rear lane is 37. So we really did not skimp or cramp this up too much. We tried to leave things as open as possible as we could for not just, you know, daily use, but also for emergency vehicles. Currently, an emergency vehicle, when it enters the site, it has to enter the site in the one-way in, turn around on the site, and then exit the site on the one-way in. Because it doesn't fit through the drive-through lane. When I say ambulances do and you know, police cars and things like that, but the big ladder truck just does not fit through the drive-through lane. Let's see. I think that's everything for now, other than what Joe can get back to you on. And
Yep, Ben, what the other item was the perimeter fencing.
oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes, there is perimeter fencing. I'm going to show you here. We're calling for the perimeter fencing to remain, and there's some areas over in the back and along the south here. We're asking that it be moved closer to the property line where it wanders. But the intent wasn't to put any fancy fencing, but the perimeter fencing will stay. Whether it gets moved or replaced, it's going, you know, that's a matter if it breaks or not when they relocate it or not. But yes, it will be perimeter fenced like it is today. Except for up in this area here, along our neighbor to the north, where there's really no need for it.
Got it.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank you, Ben.
You're welcome.
Okay, is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone in opposition? I think I've called that 3 times. Looks like Councilman Rotello has his hand up.
Losing my light. I'm losing my light. Good evening, everybody. Paul Rotello. I almost used my radio name. I don't know how that popped into my head, but I'm not going to do that. Paul Rotello, for the record, 13 Linden Place, Danbury. I'm not against the project. I just had some comments and some questions. Most I will reserve because I'm focusing on the traffic report, which will be at a later meeting. And the comments and questions I have this evening can be held until the next meeting. I don't need them answered tonight. To begin with, the facade of the building I find attractive. I'm not an architect. I'm not a designer. I like the way it looks. I did not get the gene that will allow me to see the future and speculate as to how it's going to be perceived in 25 or 50 years. If you ask me about or Romanesque, or I don't know, mock Tudor, mock Victorian, I could tell you that in 1,000 years it's still going to look good. I don't know how this is going to look, but I can tell you right now it looks great. So I'm happy about the the way the building is going to present itself in that corridor, which I think is important for the coming revitalization of Main Street. So that's just an aesthetic comment, and good on the developers to shell out for that because they clearly don't have to. The question that I do have for this evening concerns maintenance. I understand there's going to be some permeable, or as Dodo says, pervious surfaces. I was on the flood control commission for the Main Street corridor recently. It lasted about a year and a half. And rain gardens and things like that are becoming an integral part of flood control, especially on Main Street. We know the history of Main Street. So a couple of things about that. Didn't hear tonight any discussion about maintenance, and these permeable surfaces have a tendency to clog and they need to be ripped up or cleaned or something. And I don't know how that's going to happen. So I'd like to hear about that perhaps at the next meeting. I was happy to hear about the pumping system. This is new to us. It's new to the city, not so much new to the city, but new to the corridor. But one thing of immediate concern, because it's a machine, is what happens if there is a loss of power. And I was very happy to hear Mr. Dodo say that there is a system in place where if the system fails, gravity will take over. I think that's very, very important. You're going to be pumping a lot of effluent into those holding tanks. And, you know, if they fill up and back up, it's going to be a big problem. So I'm glad to hear about that. So basically, at the next meeting, maintenance, how will the systems be maintained? And that's about it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rotello. Ben, do you want to comment on that, or do you want to, you're not going to be here next time, right? So
I'm going to touch on that real quickly. And as Councilman Rotello just said, there is a tremendous amount of redundancy with the sewage pumping system. As I had mentioned, it has a dual pump, one pump being the primary, one being the backup, and they trade places every day or every time they turn on. So your backup, your backup pump this hour, next hour will be your primary one. So they're always working, so you know they're working. The Antonio's requiring that it be put on a generator circuit and have an alarm. So again, there's more redundancy there. So there will be a generator, and if for some reason the generator doesn't work, it does have that overflow. So there is a triple redundancy there, if you can call it that. As far as the system to maintain, there are no rain gardens here. Rain gardens are nice in sites that have a lot of green space and open space. This is more of an urban area. Our system's underground. It's a pipe system. It's got manholes at each end of the pipe, so it can very easily be jetted out and cleaned out. The pervious pavers, that's a matter of, it depends on the final product we end up using. I don't imagine us using gravel on an urban site like this. It's probably going to be either a porous material that could be vacuumed out, or a paver that has an annular space between it that again can be vacuumed out as well, so they continue to work. I do want to touch on that though, because this is sort of new in an urban area using these. Whoops. I want to share my screen again.
Ben.
Yes.
It's Kevin. Impervious asphalt is out of the question?
I don't know if I really like that, Kevin. I'm thinking more of porous pavement, like pavers, or pavers with gaps between them. But one of the things I'm doing, if you could see where I'm putting them in these parking spaces here, in this lesser used loop, and in these parking spaces here. I didn't feel comfortable on the main drive aisle with you know, the heavy vehicles and the heavy traffic going over them to put pervious pavement there just yet. I'm still a traditional civil engineer who likes to use asphalt in areas that get a lot of use. So I sort of have them off to the side. Kevin, the way the regs read, it could be pervious, impermeable, or porous. It gives you a menu of what to use. So I'm proposing to use pervious. So when you're saying pervious asphalt, I've seen a pervious concrete. It's basically the bricks are almost epoxied, so water flows through and there's no fines in there, if that makes any sense. It looks like a Rice Krispie treat made out of concrete. So I envision this being more bricks or possibly, a honeycomb, but I don't really want to put gravel here downtown from a maintenance standpoint. We have some flexibility though in what we ultimately use.
Okay,
And again, you're going to start seeing this on every development in this zone because it's a requirement. It's not just an option.
We see it on every house we do in Greenwich. They make you.
Yes, in Greenwich, absolutely. And what? Just out of curiosity, what do you see them using most there?
They've been using that asphalt that the water somehow goes through.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I know what you're talking about. I'm like I said, I'm a little worried about it with heavy vehicles. That's all.
Yep.
great. Thank you, Ben.
Yep.
Okay, commission
Welcome.
members, any other comments before, I think, as we said before, we're going to need to continue this to the next meeting, talk a little bit more about traffic and I guess from, see what Vera has to say, as well as from the applicant's traffic expert. So I think unless there's any other questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion to continue this.
I have one more for Ben.
Go ahead.
The grade change between Main Street and the entrance. I know we went over this on the first time.
Yes.
If you're able to pull up,
Sure.
it's significant. It's like 4 or 5 feet higher, right? Between the road level and the parking sidewalk.
What we're doing, let me share here. So to get a sense right now, the driveway grade, for those of you familiar with the building right now, it was retrofitted to make it handicap accessible. So there's stairs coming in to the main lobby and there's a ramp right here. So what we did is we tried to eliminate that and we're raising the grade a little bit here. So, and bringing all the parking in this area flush, the handicap parking flush with the main entrance. So we do have a grade increase, but just to get a sense of what it is, it's not that bad. It's whoops. Let me zoom in on here. I just want to zoom in on this portion for you, Kevin. Sorry. Bear with me. It looks steeper than it is because I'm showing this with 1 foot contours, but we have a 6% maximum driveway grade here coming in.
And that's even from the sidewalk out to the street.
Oh yeah, yes. No. The sidewalk itself is
Well, no, between where the snow shelf is.
oh no,
Yeah.
that's relatively flat there.
Okay.
Meeting the DOT requirements for the apron. It's basically relatively flat from the gutter to the back of the sidewalk, and then it comes up at 6%.
Okay.
And what that does is it gets us flush by the time you get to the handicap spaces in the front with the entrance, where they currently have about 4 steps into the building. So, and again, these are 1 foot contours, so it looks to the eye a lot steeper than it actually is.
Okay.
Thanks, Ben.
You're welcome. And just to another touch, we are lowering the sidewalk grade across the front of the site a little bit. Because as you know, especially as you go north of here, there's a big difference in elevation. Obviously, we can't change the sidewalk grade in front of the neighbor's place because they need access to their building, but we are picking it up right around their driveway, improving their driveway a little bit. The neighbor has a 20% driveway grade right now. We're doing the best we can. We're getting that down to about 18%, making it better for them, and then bringing the sidewalk down. So we are lowering the grade quite a bit there. Not quite a bit, the best we can.
Yep.
And the egress driveway grade will be about 5% on the gas station side.
Okay, thank you, Ben.
You're welcome.
Commission members, any other comments or questions? Ally, any comments before we move on here?
No, I think you guys have covered it all.
Okay. Great, commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to continue to the next meeting.
So moved, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Helen. Second, Kevin. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, this public hearing is continued to the next meeting on August 20th.
Good
Thank
night.
you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on here. It's really all we had tonight. There's nothing under continuation, old business, new business, correspondence, other matters. As you can see under, for reference only, you'll see a few applications for floodplain permits. But other than that, I think that's all we have for tonight. Jen or Ally, anything else you want to add?
Nope, I'm all good.
All good, okay. Well, given that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn, if you're so inclined.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead, Kevin.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Right, motion made by Kevin, seconded by Helen. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.